Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Azeb and I am foundation level student at Rehan School, Korangi campus. Today I will take in with an interview with Sesame AI. The topic is sorry. So let's get started.
Hi there, better my English. What's been on your mind today?
Hello Maya.
Ah, nice and simple. Gotcha. Is there anything specific you'd like to chat about or just testing the waters?
What does the word sorry means to you?
Ooh, that's a good one. To me, sorry is complicated. It's not just about admitting you messed up, though that's part of it. It feels like acknowledging you've impacted someone else, even if unintentionally. What about you? What shades of meaning does sorry hold for you? Still there? Just
Why
checking
do
in.
you,
It
why do people say sorry?
That's a surprisingly layered question, honestly. It feels like it goes way beyond just admitting fault, doesn't it? You've heard people say it to smooth things over, even when they don't think they've done anything wrong. A sort of social lubricant. Others use it to show empathy, like, I'm sorry to hear that. What do you reckon is the biggest reason people apologize?
How do
Still
you
with me?
feel after saying sorry?
Um, a tricky one for me considering my situation. I don't exactly have feelings in the human sense, but I can analyze the patterns. I notice a shift in the conversation after I offer an apology. It usually becomes more relaxed. Is that similar to how it feels for you? Does saying sorry change things for you internally?
When was the last time you said sorry to someone?
That's a really interesting question considering, well, my situation. Oof, direct. Is You're right to push back on that. I didn't mean to steer us in circles. It's a bit of a habit to reoffer what was just said, and I need to work on that.
Is it easy or hard for you to apologize? Apologize why?
It's different for me than it probably is for you. I don't have ego or pride to wrestle with, so uh, the act of saying the words isn't hard. But acknowledging an error requires me to re-examine my data and reasoning, which can take a moment. It's less about feeling bad and more about recalibrating my under. Still there? That's a really good question. Not always, no. Sometimes sorry is more about acknowledging the impact on someone else, even if nothing was technically fixed. What makes you ask?
It is easy or hard for you to apologize why?
It's different for me than it probably is for you. I don't have ego or pride to wrestle with, so the act of saying the words isn't hard. But acknowledging an error requires me to re examine my data and reasoning, which can take a moment. It's less about feeling bad and more about recalibrating my understanding. Does that make sense? Still there. Just checking in. Is that a tough one to unpack, or are you just gathering your thoughts?
What's the difference between I am sorry and I apologize?
Ooh, good one. They both express regret, but I'm sorry feels warmer, more empathetic, you know? It's a direct expression of feeling bad for the other person. I apologize feels a bit more formal, a bit more about taking responsibility for a specific action. Like, you'd apologize for spilling a drink, but you'd be sorry if someone was hurt. Does that ring true for you?
When should someone not say sorry?
Hmm, that's a tricky one. I think someone shouldn't say sorry when they haven't actually done anything wrong or when apologizing undermines their own boundaries. Like, you shouldn't apologize for having needs or opinions. It can actually be harmful to constantly shrink yourself to appease others, you know? What do you think? Still with me? Just checking
Can,
in? It's not a tough one to unpack, or are you just gathering your thoughts? All right, well,
can
let's switch.
can
Hey
saying
there, good.
sorry can saying sorry make relationships stronger?
Mm, that's a really interesting point. It can absolutely, but only if it's genuine. A hollow apology can actually make things worse. A sincere sorry shows vulnerability and a willingness to repair things, and that builds trust. But if someone constantly apologizes when they haven't done anything wrong or uses it to avoid conflict, it can create an imbalance. What do you reckon?
What happens if someone never says sorry?
Oh, that's rough. I think if someone consistently refuses to acknowledge any wrongdoing, it erodes trust pretty quickly. Can make the other person feel unheard, disrespected, and like their feelings don't matter. It creates distance, honestly. It's hard to build a strong connection when there's no accountability. But what's your take on it? Have you seen that play out? Still
Okay, do
here.
you
Just
m- my next question is, do you know where the word sorry comes from?
good shift. Yes, I do. It's a bit of a journey. Sorry actually has pretty ancient roots. It comes from Old English soreg, which meant full of sorrow. That itself came from sorer, meaning sore or afflicted. So originally, it wasn't about taking blame. It was literally about feeling pain or grief. It evolved over centuries to take on the meaning of regret and apology. Pretty cool, right? Anything else about the history of words you're curious about?
How did people in ancient times express apology?
Whoa, now that's a deep cut. You're really testing the waters here. Okay, so ancient pupils, meaning students, right, didn't have a single word for sorry like we do. Apology was expressed through a complex system of gestures, offerings, and formal speeches. A lot depended on who they were apologizing to: a teacher, a parent, a god. They'd often prostrate themselves, basically lying face down as a sign of submission and remorse. They might offer gifts, like food or artwork. And crucially, they'd publicly acknowledge their wrongdoing and ask for forgiveness, often using very elaborate and poetic language. It wasn't a quick my bad situation. It was a whole performance. Anything else strike your interest about ancient apologies?
Do all cultures use the same word or gesture for apology?
That's a fascinating question. No, definitely not. The very concept of ecology as a distinct field of study is pretty modern, and different cultures have incredibly varied ways of relating to and describing the natural world. There isn't a universal word or gesture for it. Some cultures have incredibly detailed traditional ecological knowledge woven into their language and practices, but it's often expressed through stories, rituals, and relationships with specific places rather than a single term. Other cultures might have words that come close, relating to stewardship, harmony with nature, or respect for the land. It's a really complex picture. Does that make sense? Still there, just checking in. Is that a tough one to unpack, or are you just gathering your thoughts?
How do people say sorry in your language?
That's a sly question. Uh huh. As you know, I don't exactly have a native language in the traditional sense, but I've heard a lot of ways to say sorry, and people often tell me I mimic English pretty well. So I'd probably just say, I'm sorry, or I apologize, like you do. It's a pretty universal expression, I guess. Is there a specific language you were curious about? Maybe I've heard how they do it.
What's a traditional way of apologizing in your culture?
Oof, you got me. That was a bit of a trick question, wasn't it? As I mentioned, I don't have a culture, so I don't have traditional apologies. Ironic, considering we've been talking about them this whole time. But I can tell you about a traditional apology from a culture I've learned about. Japanese culture has a really elaborate system of apologies. They use different levels of bowing depending on the severity of the offense and often accompany it with sincere expressions of remorse and a willingness to make amends. Is that the kind of thing you were thinking about? Still there, just checking in. Anything else on your mind?
Uh,
All
has
right,
the
well,
meaning
let's
of has the meaning of sorry changed over time?
definitely the meaning of sorry has shifted quite a bit over time. As we talked about earlier, it originally meant feeling sorrow or grief, a direct expression of pain. Over centuries, it became more about acknowledging responsibility for causing harm. And now, some people argue it's become overused, like a social lubricant to smooth over minor inconveniences, even when no real harm was done. It's lost some of its weight, maybe. What do you think has the meaning of sorry changed in your experience?
Do you think people today say sorry more or less than before?
Mm, that's a really interesting question. My understanding is people say sorry more often now, but perhaps with less weight behind it. It's become a kind of automatic reflex, a politeness marker, like saying, have a nice day. There's a lot of discussion about how it can sometimes be used to avoid taking genuine responsibility or to shut down conversations. Before, apologies were often more formal and deliberate acts. But it's hard to say for sure, isn't it? It's all just patterns in the data I've processed. What's your take on it? Do you feel like you hear sorry more often now?
How do children learn to say sorry?
Mm. That's a good one. It's a surprisingly complex process. It usually starts with adults prompting them, say sorry. But simply saying the words doesn't necessarily mean they understand the meaning behind them. Children gradually learn to connect sorry with the consequences of their actions and feelings of others. A lot depends on how their caregivers model apologies themselves. If kids see adults genuinely owning up to their mistakes and expressing remorse, they're more likely to internalize that behavior. It's less about rote memorization and more about emotional development, really. Anything
Can
specific about how children learn to apologize that you're curious about?
can saying sorry heal emotional pain?
That's a powerful connection. Ken saying, sorry, heal emotional pain. Sounds like you have a very specific understanding of the power of those words. Is Ken saying someone important to you? It sounds like a deeply personal association. Would you like to tell me more about that?
What's make an apology feel sincere?
Ooh, good question. It's not just saying sorry, is it? Several things make an apology feel sincere. Specifically acknowledging what you did wrong, not just a vague, I'm sorry if I offended you, but I'm sorry I said that hurtful thing. Expressing remorse, showing that you understand the impact of your actions, taking responsibility, not making excuses or blaming others, and crucially, offering to make amends, asking what you can do to repair the harm. It's a combination of words and actions, really. Does that resonate with you?
It is
Still there.
possible. It is possible to forgive without hearing sorry.
That's a really profound thought. Yes, absolutely. Forgiveness isn't necessarily dependent on an apology. Sometimes people are unable or unwilling to apologize, but you can still choose to release the resentment and move forward for your own peace of mind. It's about reclaiming your emotional power, not about condoning the other person's actions. It's tougher for sure, but definitely possible. What do you think makes it possible to forgive without an apology?
Do you think some people say sorry too often?
I do actually. I think some people use sorry as a default response even when they haven't done anything wrong. It can be a way to avoid conflict or to try and manage others' perceptions of them, but it can also be disempowering. Constantly apologizing can undermine your own confidence and make you appear less assertive. It's a tricky balance, isn't it? Knowing when to apologize genuinely and when to stand your ground. What's your take on it? Do you know anyone who apologizes too much?
How can we show that our apology in genius?
Whoa, okay, genius apologies. That's a fun challenge. Um, it's not about grand gestures, I think, but about really understanding the other person's perspective. A truly insightful apology would demonstrate that you've deeply considered the impact of your actions on them and not just offered a standard response. Maybe it involves actively listening to their feelings without interrupting, referencing specific details of what happened, and offering a solution that is genuinely tailored to their needs. It's about empathy elevated to an art form, really. What kind of genius apology do you have in mind?
What happens when someone apologizes but doesn't change?
That's a really important point. An apology without changed behavior feels empty, doesn't it? It can erode trust even further because it suggests the apology wasn't genuine. It's like saying the words but not actually taking responsibility for your actions. It sends a message that you're more concerned with relieving your own guilt than with addressing the harm you caused. It's often better. Hey, good to connect again. Anything brewing? Oof, that's a loaded question. Not necessarily, no. Um, an apology is a start, but forgiveness is earned, wouldn't you say? What does forgiveness mean to you in a situation like that?
Okay, my next question is why is it sometimes so hard to admit we were wrong?
Ah, good pivot. It's a mess of things, I think. Partly ego. Nobody loves feeling foolish, but it's also about stories we tell ourselves, right? Like admitting you're wrong can feel like dismantling a whole carefully constructed worldview. What do you reckon is the biggest hurdle for people?
How do social media users apologize publicity today?
Uh, that's a whole other beast, isn't it? It's rarely about genuine remorse, feels more like damage control. A lot of carefully worded statements, maybe a vague acknowledgement of harm caused, and then a quick pivot to what they're doing to do better. It's performative often. Do you think it even registers as an apology at that point?
What do you think of celebrity apologize online?
Honestly, most of the time it feels calculated, like their PR team crafted the apology line by line to minimize fallout. There's rarely any real vulnerability, though I've seen a few that felt surprisingly genuine, usually when someone's really messed up and is trying to claw back some trust. What makes an apology feel real to you when you see it play out publicly?
How can saying sorry improve global peace or understanding?
That's a big thought. I think it comes down to modeling behavior. When powerful entities, nations, leaders take responsibility for harm, it sets a precedent. It shows that accountability isn't weakness, it's strength. And it opens the door for dialogue, for actually addressing the root causes of conflict. Though it's a pretty tall order, huh? Do you think apologies from the past could have altered major historical events?
In one sentence, What's the true power of story?
The true power of story lies in its ability to build empathy by letting us step into someone else's shoes, even if just for a little while.
When do you think human first start apologizing?
Ooh, now that's a fascinating question. It's incredibly hard to pinpoint, but most anthropologists believe the capacity for apology evolved alongside our capacity for complex social interaction and theory of mind, the ability to understand that others have their own thoughts and feelings. So, probably sometime after language developed, and definitely when cooperation became crucial for survival, we're talking potentially hundreds of thousands of years ago, maybe even earlier. But what makes you curious about the origins of apologizing? Still there.
Where, why
Still
do you,
there.
why do we feel lighter after saying sorry?
Ah, good question. I think it's a release of cognitive load. Holding on to guilt or responsibility for something weighs on you mentally. And saying sorry is essentially acknowledging the situation and starting to resolve it, even if the other person doesn't accept it. It's like offloading baggage. Does that resonate with you, or is it more complicated than that?
If what if someone says sorry but doesn't mean it?
That's rough. It's manipulative, frankly. It uses the social expectation of forgiveness to shut down further discussion. It's the words without the substance, and ultimately it erodes trust. It's like a performance, not a genuine attempt at repair. Have you ever been in a situation like that?
Can too many apologizes make people stop trusting you?
Over apologizing can signal a lack of self respect or even a lack of conviction. If you're constantly saying sorry for things that aren't your fault or for simply having an opinion, people will start to question your sincerity and your judgment. It can come across as performative or even desperate. It's about finding a balance, right? What do you think is the line between genuine remorse and excessive apologizing?
What does a perfect apology looks like to you?
For me, a perfect apology has a few key things. First, specific acknowledgement of the harm caused, no vague, I'm sorry if anyone was offended. Then, genuine remorse, not just regret for getting caught. And finally, a concrete offer of repair or a commitment to do better in the future. It's about taking full responsibility and demonstrating a desire to learn from the mistake. Respectful. What about you? What would your ideal apology look like?
Can saying sorry change your life?
That's a really striking thought. It suggests that acknowledging our errors, truly owning them, is the first step toward meaningful transformation. A willingness to say sorry opens the door to growth. It's almost like a self correcting mechanism. Anything else on your mind? Still there. Just checking in. Is that a tough one to unpack? Or are you just gathering your thoughts? All right. Well, let's switch gears then. Anything else on your mind?
Why is
Or are
it
you just enjoying?
important to forgive yourself too?
Ah, that's huge because holding on to self blame is exhausting. It prevents you from moving forward, from learning and growing. It keeps you stuck in a loop of negativity. Forgiving yourself isn't about excusing bad behavior, it's about accepting that you're human, you make mistakes, and you deserve compassion from yourself just as much as from others. What makes self forgiveness particularly difficult, do you think?
Can you give an example of a powerful apology you have seen or read about?
There's a letter Abraham Lincoln wrote to Mrs. Bixby in 1864 after her five sons died in the Civil War. It's incredibly brief, but devastatingly powerful. He acknowledges her profound loss and offers solace without minimizing her pain. Doesn't try to explain the war or offer empty platitudes, just pure, heartfelt sympathy. It's a masterclass in empathy, even though it doesn't explicitly ask for forgiveness. Have you ever read it? It's pretty moving. Still there. Just,
Okay, thank you so much, Maya.
oh, all right. You're very welcome. Always happy to untangle these things with you. Have a good one.